What up, it's Dane here. In this video I'm going to be telling you an entire cutting meal plan with all the macros, how to measure all the stuff, basically just how to lose fat, go on a diet, get shredded for summer without losing a lot of muscle mass and just destroying all the gains that you got from the bulk. So let's get this. So let's start off with the calories and the macros. So first of all, we're going to start off with a smaller calorie deficit, because a smaller calorie deficit will lead to a less likelihood of losing more muscle mass. So actually, when you lower your calories further, the weight loss is not even going to increase a significant amount. In fact, your muscle to fat ratio is probably going to increase, meaning you can actually lose a lot more muscle mass than you need to. So this being a more aggressive diet will actually cause greater metabolic adaptation, and of course it will be a lot faster, which then means losing less weight than you actually predicted. So when I talk about metabolic adaptation, I'm talking about the basal metabolic rate, the thermic effect of activity, the thermic effect of food, and all this kind of things. This will drop because, as you may know, a smaller body burns less calories, the thermic effect of food, you're eating less food, etc, etc. An excessive calorie deficit will cause thyroid hormone, testosterone, insulin-like growth factor, and anabolic hormones to take a nosedive immediately, man. It happens so fast. So the best way to keep your hormones up is to maintain a good diet. So it's actually very important to eat clean, as it prevents the beneficial hormones that you get from, say, the micronutrients like magnesium, zinc from being produced. And one very important thing is that you need to make sure you think of weight loss as a percentage of body weight loss. I'll explain. For example, a bodybuilder that's 10% body fat compared to an average gym goer that's 20% body fat, I'm sure you know which one is able to lose more fat and not muscle. So we all know you need a surplus to gain weight. Keyword here is weight, not fat. So a less severe diet actually does, like I said before, preserve muscle mass. So you need a high protein intake as well as a heavy resistance training protocol, which I'll get into a bit later, but the reason being is because it will preserve more muscle mass. So a greater calorie deficit obviously leads to more weight loss, up to a point, and we need to understand that. There were actually some studies where a small deficit actually resulted in some muscle gains, and this was about 10% of that maintenance calories, so a 10% deficit. A 10% deficit may be more than optimal. Okay, so let me give you some guidelines in order to optimize fat loss. So if you haven't actually got a deadline in order to be ripped, a 5 to 25% deficit is all good, man. So a lean individual, let's say 12% body fat, should be aiming for no more than 1% of body weight per week. For example, say they're 12% body fat, they're 200 pounds, they should be aiming for, you know what it is, about 2 pounds per week weight loss. And it's so important that you need to realize these are only guidelines, this is not just exact number. Okay, so let's get into the nitty gritty of the calories. Okay, so my maintenance calories is going to be about 3,000, and I know that because I've been kind of tracking it in my head, but you can also find this out by just doing 15 times your body weight in pounds, and this will just give you a little rough estimate of your maintenance. Now I'm going to use a 10% calorie deficit, which brings me to a cut calorie of 2,700 calories in order to lose weight. So the first 1 to 2 weeks I'll be shooting for a weight loss of about 1 to 1.5 pounds of body weight per week, and the reason being is because I am a high body fat percentage at the moment, maybe let's say 18% body fat. However, when I get leaner, this number is going to change to about 0.7 to about 1 pound. So how am I going to adjust the diet for fat loss? And this is what you should keep in mind too. So when I've lost 3 pounds, I'm just going to minus from my calorie deficit at the moment, which is going to be 2,700 minus 150, bringing me to a new calorie deficit of 2,550. And one thing I've got to mention, when I'm going to first start my diet, my cut, the weight loss is going to be a lot faster, obviously due to the glycogen and water weight being lost. Okay, let's get into the macros, man. Okay, as you can see here are my macros, and the reason being why my protein intake is so high is because I just prefer a higher protein amount because it provides more satiety for myself, and you can do the same too. You only need about 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight. And for the carbs and fats, to be honest with you, I don't really calculate them too much. I don't really care about them. As long as my calories and my protein in check, I'm good to go. So before we get into the training side of things, let me tell you how I'm going to measure my fat loss and my muscle mass. So I'm basically going to do this in very simple ways. First of all, in order to measure my muscle mass, if I'm losing it or if I'm not, I'm going to check my performance in the gym. If my strength is taking a nosedive, yeah, I'm kind of probably losing muscle mass. Now, in order to measure my fat loss, I will use a scale, but I'm not going to rely on it just 100%. I will use the mirror and I will use the videos and pictures to determine if my body fat is going down and just my overall body composition. Okay, so let's get into training. First of all, I want to reduce my training frequency and volume, and the reason being, obviously I've got less calories, therefore it wouldn't even make sense to increase it, let alone maintain it. I do need to decrease it. So I'm going to be following a 3 times a week training routine, following an upper, lower, upper, you know what I'm saying, so upper, rest day, lower. And the reason being why I'm doing this is because I just think maybe training 3 days a week, I can get enough recovery. So when I do go into the gym, I can give it my all and I can maintain the intensity on the bar, which I'll talk about in a second. So I'll probably be doing about 6 to 8 reps, especially on the compound exercises, and 6 to 8 sets, and I'll explain this again. So the 2 main important factors are maintaining your volume, and that's why I allocated about 6 to 8 sets per muscle group. That's kind of low, but I'm just trying to maintain it, and that's what your real aim is when you're trying to lose fat, is maintain it. Now, if you're a beginner, you can obviously increase it, and if you can increase it, then increase it. Now, step number 2 is maintain the intensity. And when I'm talking about the intensity, I'm talking about the weight on a bar. If the weight on a bar is taking a nosedive and you're losing strength real fast, then you're probably losing muscle mass, and therefore you probably need to increase your calorie intake a little bit. So coming towards the end of the video, let me get into the refeeds and the supplements that I'm going to take. So when I'm about 15 to 20% body fat, I'm going to have a refeed day every 2 weeks. Now when I get to lower levels of body fat, about 15% and under, I'm going to have one every week. Now I'm going to go about this in just a good manner. I'm not going to go have a cheat day and blow my diet like I used to. All I'm going to do is what a normal refeed day will happen is I'm just going to increase my carbohydrate levels to get that little increase in leptin, making me feel a little bit better. Even though, let's face it, you're not going to feel much better. But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Go take my calories to maintenance, and then the next day back to the calorie deficit. So that's it. So anyway, let's get into the supplements. So for supplements, I'm basically going to take nothing, and you don't actually need supplements if you don't know this already. But for example, say you have a high protein intake and you cannot get your protein intake in, then take some protein powder if you need. But yeah, I'm going to take no supplements because they're not needed. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a long time to shoot because I have speech issues and I can't seem to speak today. But anyway, let me know if you enjoyed this video, got something from it. Stay positive, stay smiling, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.